GM. Welcome to Web3 Academy, a place for entrepreneurs, businesses, and creators to learn and explore how to use Web3 to transform business models and build thriving communities. My name is Jay Bird, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle Reedhead. And today we had Michael Robinson on the podcast with us. Michael is the product manager at Chainlink Labs, where he is building their smart contract automation product. Kai, what'd you think about today's episode?
Yeah, great episode. You know, we get to explore his journey into Web3, and really his journey to go into Chainlink was pretty cool, and it represents like really what a doer is. So that was pretty exciting. We talked a lot about Chainlink, which I had heard of, I mean, obviously, but didn't really grasp how big it was. So I think that was quite cool. And then I think the meat and potatoes of this whole episode was this new concept with NFTs called dynamic NFTs. The use cases and the opportunities with this for everyone is pretty incredible. So that was exciting.
We also learned about Kyle's first FOMO moment in crypto. Listen to that story. I didn't know that Kyle had FOMO moments, guys. He does. Guys,
2 in the morning.
He does.
It was like 2 in the morning, I think, when I did it.
Uh-oh. Yeah, well, you know, this is a banger of an episode. I think really focused on the real value of the space. Chainlink is something that everybody needs to know more about. It's funny. It's like that. I'm trying to think. It's like the company that you kind of know about, but you're like, what do they really do? And how are they in the space? And then we have somebody from their company on the podcast. We realize that they're one of the biggest Web3 startups in the space, and they're focused on real utility and building actual value for businesses. Like, hello, Web3 Academy. This is what we're talking about. I love it.
All right. So before we get into the episode, let's just take a quick second to hear from our sponsors. The future of social media is here, and that future lives in Web3 on top of Lens protocol. Web2 social platforms are broken and ripe for disruption. You see, the epicenter of social media is the creators, and yet they are the most neglected. Web2 platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram are all essentially robbing creators of their worth. Creators are a new type of entrepreneur, forming new types of businesses. Yet with Web2 platforms, creators don't own their content or their profiles, and that's their product and business. Instead, they are tied to the platforms they choose to create on. Well, just like how crypto is freeing us from banks, Web3 is freeing us from these centralized platforms. On Lens protocol, creators own their content, own their profile, and even their social graph and followers in the form of NFTs. This allows you to move freely from one social application to another with your content, profile, and followers moving along with you. Lens protocol enables self-sovereignty for your social graph and interoperability across the internet. At Web3 Academy, we believe this is the future of social, and that's why we've partnered with Lens to ensure that the path of social media is heading in the right direction. Visit lens.xyz to learn more today.
Unlock Protocol is the NFT membership protocol for Web3. Content subscriptions, community access, event tickets are all forms of memberships, one of the most common business models for creators and entrepreneurs today. Building an NFT membership opens many new possibilities for your members. Everything from tailored multi-platform experiences to the ability to sell an unfinished subscription on secondary markets. These are things just not possible in Web 2. However, in order for this business model to work, creators need NFTs which are time-bound or have built-in recurring payments. Unlock Protocol does this for your NFTs. Better yet, with a few simple steps, you can create your own NFT contract without code. What WordPress has done for websites, Unlock Protocol is doing for membership NFTs. If you're an NFT creator, you can't rely on royalties as they are likely going to zero. You need recurring revenue. You need Unlock. At Web3 Academy, we believe NFT memberships are the future of business and community. And that's why we decided to build on Unlock. Learn more at unlock-protocol.com. Today, we've got Michael Robinson from Chainlink joining us. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Jay and Kyle. Pleasure to be here. This is great.
We are so excited to jump into everything Chainlink, Your story, your rabbit hole story is so fascinating. But I think we've really been waiting to have somebody from Chainlink on. So it's exciting for us to get you as our first person from Chainlink on the show. Let's start with your rabbit hole story. How did you first fall down the crypto or Web3 rabbit hole?
Absolutely. So my crypto story was pretty interesting. I think I became interested, and to be completely honest, was from a Bitcoin meme. And I saw a meme where someone just simply compared Bitcoin with regular fiat currency. And there was a chart with the comparisons between the two. And I kid you not, it was that meme of where there's the girls laughing, saying he doesn't know about Bitcoin. And that was enough. That was enough to get me saying, okay, what's Bitcoin? And I dug down the rabbit hole from there. But truth be told, that's what got me into this space.
So memes really create FOMO, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I wasn't one of those academic types that read the white paper and went through that route. That came much later. It started from just, seeing that meme and then thinking, what are the powers that this could potentially unlock when we have a system where you can send tokens anywhere in the world at any time for any reason? And what are the powers that programmable money could lead to? Having this platform, what's the potential in the future for that? That's kind of what got me most interested and excited in the space. And then, of course, you go from Bitcoin to then Ethereum, which solves the problems that come with building decentralized applications on top of blockchain. And from Ethereum to kind of the rest of the ecosystem. And so that was kind of my introduction to crypto and blockchains and Web3.
And I know you mentioned with us before the show during prep that it was really programmable money and smart contracts that sort of captured your attention. I think you mentioned you were in business school at the time. What was it about smart contracts that sort of made you have that aha moment?
So I read a book, 0 to 1, it's called, by Peter Thiel, who's this big investor, famous guy. And I think the 0 to 1 concept is kind of these leaps in innovation, where it's not like an incremental horizontal innovation. It's a massive leap. So as an example, the iPhone, Tesla, Uber, just these massive leaps in either technology or innovation that make an improvement to the way that everyone in the world operates. And to me, smart contracts were a 0 to 1 innovation. So smart contracts and the kind of underlying technology of blockchains were that opportunity to really, really make a massive leap forward and bring value to our entire world, essentially. So, of course, starting with things like peer-to-peer payments, where Bitcoin became famous, but then moving on into more advanced applications, NFTs, and we're kind of just seeing the possibility of smart contracts and blockchains continue to be advanced and unlocked as more people come into the space with more ideas and moving these forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was similar for both Kyle and I in that, we saw Bitcoin in the beginning and thought, oh, this is great from an investment perspective and exciting, but it wasn't like, it didn't necessarily push us into spending our time and our careers on it. It wasn't until the business applications that came out of seeing Ethereum and seeing what the potential is of, building on top of this security layer. Oh, wow. Like, look what all these businesses can do. And look at all these business models that this is going to enable. Very similar to sort of what got us excited in the beginning as well. I'm just curious, where do you think smart contracts are now versus where do you see them 5 years from now?
Where we are now is, I think we're still in the sandbox. I think we're still experimenting with things like DeFi and parametric insurance and use cases that are, I guess, just more simplistic and easier to build and spin up and use. But where I see the real potential for Web3 and for applications is to build more advanced smart contracts. And building an advanced smart contract means you need additional infrastructure to do that. And I think that's kind of what led me to Chainlink and Chainlink Labs, is because Chainlink is on a mission to provide that platform for smart contract developers to build more advanced smart contracts, so that today, where we have, let's just take applications where you can deposit tokens and take out a loan. In the future, we would have 5 years even more advanced applications that are inputting real world data to do something on the blockchain and to provide some sort of benefit to the end user, beyond just depositing or swapping a token, beyond just purely trades and speculation, but actually things that provide real tangible benefit to end users. I think that's where in 5 years things will be. And as we have cycles in the industry, and I think by this next cycle, we're going to see some very interesting things come out, and before as well. I think people are building now, and over the next 5 years, seeing applications just using real world data, solving real world problems in that 0 to 1 fashion is what I'm super excited for.
Interesting. And I'm excited to dive more into what advanced smart contracts are, to be honest.
I like that term.
Yeah, me too. But before we do, I guess I'm just curious, you got psyched up about smart contracts. You're like, this is the cool thing. This is the next, 0 to 1, the next big leap. And now you're at Chainlink. Connect the dots there. How did you get to Chainlink? Or how did that even, what did you do next when you learned about smart contracts? Did you just go buy some ETH and be like, sweet? Or did you like go run a Chainlink and be like, hey, I want to work here. I want to figure this stuff out. Or did you learn to code, or how did this all come into fruition?
Yeah, so my intro into Web3 and to Chainlink was actually through a hackathon. And it's something that I would highly recommend to anyone who's on the fence, who's interested in Web3 blockchain, you just want to get involved. Go join a hackathon. There are tons of hackathons available right now. Most of them, almost all of them, will be free to enter and have tons of prizes in both monetary value as well as courses and additional advanced learning packages. And most importantly, you're going to meet some really great people. So my intro was, interested in Bitcoin, interested in Ethereum, interested in all the various different altcoins or other cryptos, and then decided to myself, well, I want to make a difference in the space, and how do I get involved, rather than just putting in a resume. I went and built stuff. And what's so cool with Web3 is we have all these new, even social medias like Discord and Telegram. So I went into it at Chainlink Hackathon knowing 0 people, posted in a Discord, hey, I have an idea of how we could build something cool. Here it is. If you're interested, let me know. and ended up working with a guy from Mexico, a guy from southern US and northern US, the four of us. Nice. Totally random strangers. And we ended up building some cool stuff. We ended up winning some prizes, and was lucky enough to get the opportunity to interview with Chainlink Labs as a result. But yeah, that whole experience is how I really recommend people to get deeper in the space. Obviously, things like crypto Twitter and following people like yourselves are great ways to kind of stay up to tune with the industry, and then get in and just get your hands dirty and build stuff. That's what worked for me.
I love the build. Build is the way to learn. Doing is the way to learn. That's
the
why it's called
mindset.
The Doer Spotlight. The Doer Spotlight.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also love, I was waiting for you to say, and the prize that I won was a Chainlink's job.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. And I think that's super common in the space, right? That's where a lot of the best Web3 companies are going to recruit, right? Because that's where you find the doers. And so did you have a tech background? Were you a dev, and were you going in as a dev? Or because I know you're in a product marketing, product manager role now. So or were you just going in as like, hey, I have an idea and I'll find the devs? Because I think one thing that a lot of non-devs fear hackathons, right?
Right. I was a non-dev. So I did mechanical engineering for my undergrad. So I understand coding slightly on a beginner level, but I'd never built or deployed smart contracts or gotten into any sort of deep Solidity coding or anything like that. And I just went in and like I said, just found some really great people. And I think ideas that are, again, relevant to the everyday person, or solve like real challenges that people are facing and use Web3 or use blockchain are what people are interested in. So the ideas that I proposed for the hackathon was using smart contracts for a parametric shipping insurance. This was right around the time of the Suez Canal crisis. I don't know if you recall, but rather than depending on centralized insurance agencies to pay out insurance, you could write that in a smart contract, and if the water level or if there's a blockage in shipping, immediately executes and you're paid your payout. So that was the idea that I proposed, and as a non-technical, found developers that were really just great people. We formed a group and ended up pulling together some stuff really cool.
Can you find parametric for us? I do not know that word.
Yeah, so parametric essentially is an if this then that. So
okay.
An insurance based on a parameter is essentially what it is. So let's just say you have a hurricane insurance. The parameter could be wind speeds greater than X miles per hour. And if the wind speeds surpass X miles per hour, that's classified as a category whatever hurricane. You're paid out insurance because we assume you'll have damage.
Wow.
Very interesting.
I remember when I first learned about Chainlink, this is one of the ones that I'd heard about that Chainlink could enable. And I was like, oh, wow, this is super cool. I didn't really completely get it at the time. This was like, I don't know, I think 3 years ago now when I first heard about Chainlink. And I actually saw a video on YouTube of some, I don't even know who it was, crypto influencer who was like, Chainlink's going to go to the moon. It's the next ETH. It's the next Bitcoin or whatever. And so that was and I bought that night. I FOMO'd in. This is the first time I ever FOMO'd into any token ever. And that's how I learned about, that's how I learned about Chainlink. And then the next morning I woke up, I was like, what did I just do? I don't even know what that was. And I sold it. But so anyway, long story to ask, can you give us a walkthrough of like what Chainlink actually is? Because I feel like you guys are doing so much and have built up so much. Maybe you can give us sort of the like high level, like who is Chainlink and what's going on over there, so that others don't FOMO in like I did.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chainlink, I kind of like to explain going through. So we have Bitcoin, which initially solved, the problems with peer-to-peer transactions. You can use Bitcoin to send coins anywhere in the world at any time on a distributed ledger. Then we had Ethereum, where Ethereum then enabled dApps to build on top of it. And we saw amazing innovation there. And blockchains and layer ones and layer twos and the underlying technology of blockchains is incredible. But they do have a fundamental problem. And that is that blockchains can't connect to things outside of the blockchain, such as real world data or compute, or even connect to other blockchains. So we need a way to essentially connect smart contracts to data, and in a sense, level up smart contracts and dApps. So the solution to that is Chainlink. Chainlink connects smart contracts on any blockchain with real world data, services, other blockchains, randomness, and more. And what's great about that is that what Chainlink enables is, like we were mentioning earlier, hybrid or advanced smart contracts. So smart contracts that can actually connect to real world data, smart contracts that are automated, smart contracts that can use actual verifiable randomness. All of these different use cases are enabled by Chainlink. And that's what I'm super excited to be helping contribute to. And that's what I'm super passionate about in this space.
Sounds like Chainlink is like the Zapier or the Zapier, I did never know how to say it, of blockchain and of Web3.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right comparison. Tell us just a bit about how big is Chainlink? How many people are working on there? Can you give us any sort of high level view of the ecosystem? I know that I was on the website and there's multiple products and services that you guys are working on. And I know that you're at Chainlink Labs. How does Chainlink Labs fit into the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chainlink, the protocol, we have an ecosystem now of over 1,500 projects that have integrated either one or multiple of our technologies. And our technologies in market right now we're most well known for our data feeds and price feeds. So what is that? Well, that is the price of, for example, Ethereum versus US dollars. To actually get that price on a blockchain, it goes back to the problem I mentioned earlier, blockchains not being able to communicate with real world data. Chainlink solves for that. So Chainlink allows smart contracts to see the price of Ethereum versus USD, or see the temperature in Whistler, or see various different pieces of real world data to then do whatever they want with. That is kind of Chainlink, and the ecosystem continues to grow. Chainlink Labs, the team building Chainlink, is several hundred people at this point, continuing to grow. And it's just been a real pleasure being a part of this mission and vision, which is to enable even more innovation, even more dApps, advanced smart contracts in the space. In terms of the products I'd mentioned, data feeds. In addition, we have verifiable randomness for smart contracts, which is a whole other problem that I could get into speaking quite a bit about. But essentially, you heard about the Powerball 1.9 billion yesterday, and there was the whole issues of what happened with that. There was problems. Chainlink verifiable randomness allows you to get a random number that anyone in the world can verifiably prove it was random, and can be done on a blockchain. So if you're over halfway around the world, you can verify that that was the exact draw. You can verify that was totally random and no one can tamper with those results. So things like that, we're just in such early phases with Web3. I think that's going to be something as well that's super exciting. But in addition, we have a product for automating reserves and audits, automated audits of things like a stable coin. If they have set reserves, a lot of stable coins, or some stable coins, you don't know, are they actually backed? This is kind of a black box. We have a solution that you can actually transparently deploy to show, yes, we have X backing that we have verified. And then lastly, the product that I'm really interested in a lot myself is Chainlink automation, which solves another fundamental problem of smart contracts and allows you to unlock more advanced use cases like dynamic NFTs and automated DeFi and various different automated components of smart contracts that kind of is super appealing to the masses and the mass user, whereby you don't need to get in and actually directly interact with the smart contract. Things can be automated for you. So that's kind of a quick overview of Chainlink and Chainlink Labs. And yeah, it's very exciting time for us and for myself.
Yeah, it's incredible to hear about all the different things that you guys are working on and your size. I mean, having hundreds of people on your team must make you one of the top 3, top 5 Web3 startups out there. So congrats. That's super exciting to hear. And also it's what my earlier comment on it's the Zapier. Zapier is no code. It's more like Chainlink is like the Zapier for devs, right? Like it's for devs to connect all this stuff for the really smart people that understand the deep of blockchain and the potential of what we can do with it. And so you mentioned dynamic NFTs. Now, that was the main reason why we wanted to have you on the show today, was because you actually put out a tweet a while ago about dynamic NFTs and the use cases around those. So would love to really dive into that. First, let's start out. What are dynamic NFTs? What do you mean by that? I mean, lingo is so difficult to follow. I feel like, one day every day we have a new, PBT, DNFT, all these new terms. So maybe you can just define dynamic NFTs for us, and then let's jump into some of the use cases for that and break those down.
Absolutely. This is a topic that's super exciting to me as well, because again, the possibilities for the future, and because for myself and for many others, it kind of appeals to me as this is a use case that can bring benefit to people. So let's start with dynamic NFTs. So NFTs themselves, a static NFT is what probably most people are familiar with. And that could be like a CryptoPunk, whereby, I think recently there was a NFT image of a Ethereum rock that sold for like $150,000. So I think that's what people, and those take up all the news articles, as people see, rock sells for 6 figures, and it's kind of like, this is a crazy space, right? Like what's achieved here? So I think static NFTs are what a lot of people know NFTs for. And that's great. That's fantastic. There are some really cool use cases there, and it's also, very beneficial to all sorts of different people, artists, especially musicians. But the difference with static NFTs is that they don't change. So your NFT of a picture of a rock is a picture of a rock. Dynamic NFTs are NFTs that can actually change based on external conditions and can actually update their metadata, or essentially the data within the NFT, based on some sort of conditions that are pre-programmed into that NFT. So what type of conditions, you may be thinking? Well, we're still, again, in the very early stages of figuring this out. But as an example, you could have an NFT of a, let's just say, I like to take the example that a colleague of mine uses, which is a Pokemon card. So the static Pokemon card, the initial stage of it, it's its own NFT. But what if that could evolve? So what if after, X conditions, after you've, traded it 10 times, after you have waited X amount of time, or you've done something else, what if it could evolve into the next stage, and then evolve again and change again? That is a dynamic NFT. Dynamic in that it's dynamic and changing, and the use cases are really infinite at this point.
I got a question. Is it evolving based off of like things that are happening, whether that be in the real world or on chain? Like I'm thinking of a game, right? Or like you said, Pokemon, where, your Charmander, for example, evolves into a Charizard. I used to be a Pokemon person in my younger days. So I like this. But like, let's say you, I don't know, win some battles, or you do whatever, you do certain things, and then all of a sudden it's updating as a result of you winning X amount of fights or whatever. Is that kind of how it could work?
That's exactly it. And we're starting to see people build that now. So we're starting to see you can build, like if you're building a blockchain game, you can use dynamic NFTs where your character, if you win, X battles or whatever your game entails, it evolves, it changes automatically. And that could be either on-chain conditions, or if it's off-chain conditions, then you're, as a developer, you can use Chainlink and you can connect to that off-chain data. So we have someone who recently built a dynamic NFT, and there's a tutorial for this where, based on the price of Ethereum, the NFT will either change to red or green or totally change appearance.
Of course.
You're
Nice.
kind of combining things where you have, looking at real world data, and then you are also automating that so that it changes based on those conditions happening. And that's it's just kind of a simple, cool example. But then as we start going down deeper and deeper, and now that we have the foundational technology to build more cool stuff, you can go from like Pokemon evolving and gaming to, what about like your vehicle? What about your house? What about a loyalty rewards card that actually is a dynamic NFT and updates from bronze, silver, gold, platinum based on the amount of dollars that you've spent at that location? I haven't seen that yet, but it's coming.
It sounds super cool, but just a quick question. Is it just the image that can update that is dynamic? Or what about the any of the other metadata? Maybe it's traits, or it's, other things like that. Can that also be like dynamic?
Yeah, great question. So that metadata can update as well. So not just the image and the visual of it, like going from a Charmander to Charizard, but the actual stats, the actual, the critical hit ratio if you're in a game. All of that can update dynamically with that NFT according to whatever conditions are pre-programmed into it. So yeah, it's opens up a lot of possibilities.
What this can do is it's not just about changing the image, although that is exciting and fun with your Ethereum example, but more than that, it's the tracking of the data connected to your activity, which in the past, you couldn't authenticate it in the same way. You couldn't track the history in the same way, right? Whereas now you have this ability to see it all on chain and to see these are the steps you took to get from point A to point B, and it's verifiable and it's trustless. Whereas before, I never played Pokemon, but I feel like you could probably just say you moved from a Charizard to a Charmander or whatever it was.
Okay,
That's exactly it.
I want to understand what you mean by a car or a house, because honestly, I haven't wrapped my head around that. But first, I have an idea, and I think that we are all in Canada. We are all near Toronto. Michael, are you a Toronto Maple Leafs fan?
Huge.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. We're gonna get them to launch some NFTs, and whenever they play their home games, the jerseys will be in blue, and whenever they play away games, the jerseys will be in white, or I don't know which way it goes, but it'll change whenever they're playing on the opposite, because they change their jerseys. I want my NFT to match that. So we're going to the Leafs, and we're gonna get them in the NFTs.
That's awesome. I'm in.
Let's do it.
I love it. Love it.
Okay, tell us about cars.
Yeah. How does this make sense?
Yeah, cars are interesting. You could have, for example, your car as an NFT, and the metadata for your car is updated according to whatever various different changes happen with the car. And then to your point earlier, using the power of blockchain and the transparency and the immutability of blockchain, so that no one can go in and just roll back the odometer on you. It's in the blockchain permanently. It's there, and there are certainly various different challenges to get something like that up and running totally fluently, but we're getting there, absolutely getting there. And with a car, like I mentioned, various different things, even like in the example I gave, your Tesla showing its service records, its kilometers, if there's any damage history on the vehicle, things extrapolated from like a database like a Carfax, now in an NFT's metadata on the blockchain that everyone can see. And those things, I think, are, if we can get people excited in building and experimenting with how we get that to the mass market, you're going to see a huge wave of utility and advancement and benefit to you and I, versus just like $150,000 rock. So that's kind of what's exciting. And that's an example that people are interested in. And then there's a lot of things you can do in addition to that if you tokenize a real world asset like a vehicle or a house. I think things even like having your vehicle as collateral for a loan, trading or selling your tokenized real world asset instantly on the blockchain to anyone in the world with no intermediaries. Like that's the 0 to 1 benefit that I'm super excited if we can get to that point, and I think we will.
So you're saying that the NFT is basically like a physical backed token, right, of your car. Let's say it's that, but it also takes all the real data from what's happening in the real world with your car, and it's pulling it to update the data on the NFT, so that if you were to sell it or you were to use it as collateral, it could get a real value of it, because it knows how much kilometers are on the car and what accidents it's been in and what services it's had, and I don't know, whatever other data it's going to have.
Whoever other owners there's been, right?
Right.
Like there's been 3 owners and one lived in this place, and
right. It lived in Toronto where it has snow and salt.
Where it has snow and yeah, exactly. Yeah, rust and it actually spent its whole life in Florida, which is much better.
Yeah. So all those things are totally possible and in the realm of possibility for the space. And it just comes down to, honestly, I think, even talking with some of my friends in the space and other people, there are even a lot of regulatory and legal hurdles right now with stuff like that. But we'll get there. It's just a matter of getting people inspired. And I think people watching your guys' show are the exact kind of people that will be inspired to kind of go after these things. And, the world is your oyster if you are passionate and do that.
Well, I mean, it makes complete sense because especially the way when you look at like a Tesla versus any other car, it's basically a computer on wheels, right? It's not a car anymore. It's just this, it is literally a computer. And so it has everything is data. It's just a piece of software that you can update anything on it. And so it makes sense to be able to then pull that data into an NFT or into that kind of metadata. That's extremely, extremely smart. I like that. What about Jay? You had a question?
I was just going to say that what we need to do though is we have to be careful about the language. Like I almost feel like we shouldn't call these NFTs, because that just makes people be like, well, why the fuck would it be an NFT? I don't need a JPEG of my Tesla. Like, what does that do for me? Right? Like flip table, get angry, get upset. It needs to be, I don't know what to call it. Like, I want to put on and we don't need to do that now, but like, I want to put on my branding mind and explain this to people as this is just the ability to take your physical asset and track the data connected to your physical asset in a immutable way so that it's trustless and it's provable and you can know exactly what happened to that physical asset throughout its life and then also enable you to, as you said, to sell it or trade it or get collateral for it. It's fascinating.
What's even cooler with a Tesla is you could sell it, like let's say on OpenSea, someone buys it and the Tesla can drive itself to their house. You don't even have to come and look at it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think it's super fascinating what's possible, and let's see what comes next of it.
So you also mentioned, so there's car, you said house. I think both of those kind of make sense. And I think we can wrap our head around both of those. You said retail stores. Walk me through a little bit about what you mean on that one.
Yeah, retail stores is an interesting one. I think also fairly low hanging fruit use case with loyalty rewards programs. And I think one who's done great in this space, Starbucks, their loyalty reward program with their app and everything else, I think have done a great job of it. And there's opportunity for just further, I guess, enhancement of programs like that using dynamic NFTs. And that could be as simple as if you are a member for X amount of time, or if you visit X number of stores across whatever geography, any kind of number of conditions that you want to place, you could then allow that to level up the dynamic NFT, and leveling up that from a basic membership to an advanced to a platinum enables different benefits to the customer. And that can all be totally transparent, again, using blockchain and technology that just enables more advanced use cases like that. So I think, again, with these types of programs, we need to see one big player take off and use this in a good way, and then many others will follow suit. But there's massive benefits to be had.
What stage are we at? And it's, again, you said we're still in the sandbox, we're still building, and no one has really done it all that much yet. But if someone wants to, let's say I want to create a dynamic NFT for, I don't know, whatever, like, is there a tool that I could just go and use, or do I have to just go and like build this whole idea from scratch, essentially?
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's tons of tools. I think there's tons of great tutorials out there available. We put on these hackathons usually twice a year, and also have various different tutorials, YouTube channels, etc. And then we and many other platforms and projects in this space have technology and infrastructure that allows developers to pick things up and make things like dynamic NFTs very easily. So I think as we solve some of the key fundamental problems of blockchains, like we talked earlier, getting data onto blockchains using Chainlink and automating smart contracts using Chainlink, it just makes the it makes it easier for the builder or developer or even people with an idea who want to build a dynamic NFT. Makes it that much easier when you have all this tooling at your hands and infrastructure at your hands.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so I just want to like deep bow to you and the Chainlink team, because this is exactly what we need. My mind is racing with the use cases here. I mean, I feel like I've said it so many times. I have been with my telecom company for like 2 decades, for like 20 years, maybe even more, maybe 25 years. I haven't got a single thing from it. I'll get anything. Like, come on, give me, like, recognize the fact that I've been with you for this long and give me some loyalty. So when you mentioned like visiting stores, like all these things make so much sense for so many businesses and this is what we talk about on the show so much, is the importance of, I think a lot of people look at Web3 and they look at blockchain and they just think, oh, it's just speculation. It's just making money, right? It's just investment. That's all it is. But no, this actually is an opportunity for you to make your business better for your customers, right? For you to make it more fun for your customers, more engaging for your customers, and to make your customers feel more involved in your product, in your business. So yeah, I'm fired up. I'm going to be using Chainlink for sure in the future. Kai, before we get to speed round, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm not sure it's a question, but the only thing I think about here is just the more you start to learn and realize about the Internet of Things and how everything is going online, like everything from, you said, walking into stores. If you've ever seen like the new grocery stores that Amazon's doing, it's next level. Like you just walk in, you grab the things off the shelf, and as it goes into the cart, it already like puts it into your checkout or your online cart, and you just walk out of the store and just auto pays for you. Like all these things. There's just so much data when you have the Internet of Things, and then to be able to pull that onto the blockchain and like feed that into the blockchain so that you can do things and interact with NFTs or payments and all that. I think it's incredible. And so, I mean, we need Chainlink in order for all that to happen. That's what I'm realizing in this episode.
Nice.
I just realized when we talked about the sports analogy earlier with the Maple Leafs, aren't you guys working with some major sports franchises? Like, isn't Chainlink partnered with the New England Patriots on the NFL side, building some stuff there? I saw. Am I getting that right?
We are with, or we did a very cool dynamic NFT with LaMelo Ball, who was the Rookie of the Year for the NBA 2021, I believe. And with that dynamic NFT, it's kind of back to what we were talking about earlier. Like if you imagine like a trading card NFT that has the player with their stats, and what happens in 5 years down the road, that card doesn't have their latest stats. Well, with the dynamic NFT, you can actually update so that, this person's, has this Rookie of the Year award or the MVP award to the NFT and all their statistics. And there's just kind of various cool different things that you can then do with that. And so we did that with LaMelo Ball. We also did one with the Australian Open, whereby every NFT gave you the right to one particular spot on the court. And if there was a winning shot, like the last shot of the game, bounced off your square, I think it was like a 10 by 10 centimeter or something, then your NFT would update, and you'd have additional privileges or win potential rewards, all sorts of different cool stuff. So yeah, those are just a few examples, but again, we're scratching the surface of what's possible. There's so much more that can potentially be possible, and it's just really a matter of, as you mentioned earlier, like, every brand I think will need to have an NFT or a Web3 strategy, similar to how everyone had an AI strategy and an internet strategy and all these new disruptive technologies. You got to have a strategy. Some will just slightly dabble in it. They're not going to be massively impacted, but some will find a way to use it to their advantage and have a massive win. And so I think learning about that technology and implementing it with major brands getting in and experimenting is always going to be good for this space and for everything as a whole.
You guys also used to go to Blue Jays games, I assume, since we're all here from Toronto.
Yeah.
I think it was Blue Jays games where if they get enough runs or something, you get a free piece of pizza. Yeah. Okay.
Pizza. Yes.
Yeah. So this just made me think the annoying thing about that is, I mean, I have to just throw out my ticket, right? These little paper tickets that you get or you lose them or whatever, and then you can't get your free pizza. And also, if you happen to leave the game early, you don't know if they've gotten that. You got to go to your Sportsnet app or whatever. But if it's a dynamic NFT, you could just open up your wallet. Maybe the NFT changes and has like some confetti that, hey, you've won yourself your pizza. And then you can just go into your pizza and grab yourself your free slice. You know, you don't have to deal with going to multiple apps to check things, saving your stupid paper ticket. Okay, it all makes sense. I love it.
Yes, that's totally it. Yeah, that's the type of thing that excites me. I think that's everyone that I've talked to. Those are the types of things that excites people because, again, it's more than just like, okay, cool, I had a really fancy, 6-figure avatar on Twitter. Right. It's no, like this is something that's going to provide a benefit to me, and who knows what else, additional things you could build on top of that would provide more benefit. So yeah, I think it's a really cool example.
Yeah, just love that you keep saying like real world utility, which is probably the most overused word in the NFT space, but like we're going to create real value that actually matters. And I've just got to take a second here to steal the mic for a shill on our side. Is you also said that everybody needs their Web3 or blockchain strategy. And if you need help with your Web3 or blockchain strategy and you're listening to this show, we do that with Impact 3, which is one of our agencies that we run on the side. So if you need help, give Kyle or Jay a call. We'd love to do a consultation with you and help you out with that. So that's my shill. Let's give Michael a chance. Michael, give us your shill on Chainlink or where people can find you online. No doubt lots of people are going to want to reach out after this show because there's so much good stuff here.
Yeah, for sure. Chain.link is the main website for Chainlink, and you can kind of poke around there and find anything that is of interest to you, all of our different products, use cases, everything else. And then myself, I'm on Twitter as well. Happy to chat with anyone who has further questions or is interested in anything on dynamic NFTs, hackathons, how to get into this space. Happy to connect for sure.
Sweet. I love it. Okay, let's do a speed round. Let's learn a little bit about Michael here. Start off. What is an NFT you'll never sell?
NFT I'll never sell. I bought this NFT called the Polychain Monster, and it was this part of this kind of gaming project. They used Chainlink, a Chainlink service called Chainlink VRF, the randomness number generator that I mentioned earlier. And when you mint the NFT to determine the traits of the NFT, it uses this randomness generator so that your traits are, whatever traits you get are verifiably random. And sometimes you can get lucky, sometimes you don't. So the first one that I got, I had, I think, like the most common traits, and it was worth obviously not very much, but it's an NFT that I'll always keep forever because it was very cool to see an NFT gaming project and then using Chainlink technology as part of the minting process. And it's one I'll always keep.
Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, something you've purchased recently for under $100 that brings you joy.
So I purchased a standing phone and watch charger that goes beside your bed for $30 on Amazon, and it was absolutely well worth every penny. So that you don't have a million cords everywhere, and it's just super convenient. Good Christmas gift for anyone who's thinking about that stuff.
Is it the wooden one? Is it the wooden one?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's smaller. It's a plastic one, but yeah.
Michael's all about real world utility in more ways than one, clearly.
Absolutely.
Okay, last question. If you had a billboard that 1 billion people were going to see, what would you write on it?
Truth over trust. And that is kind of a Chainlink, I don't want to say slogan, but Chainlink phrase. And it's one that I take to heart. And it can kind of mean whatever you want it to mean, but really to myself and many others, it means trusting the truth of things like blockchains and cryptography and verifiable truth versus just placing your trust in something. So versus placing your trust in the typical previous to Web3 world that we lived in. I think that's something that I would put on a billboard and hope that 1 billion people see it, because as a marketer, you complete my job for the next many years to come. That would be amazing.
No problem. We just got to onboard 1 billion people to Web3 first, and then we'll get that billboard out there in front of them.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, this has just been a blast. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Michael. Thanks everybody for listening in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much, Jay and Kyle, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.